Hello everyone, I'm back with part 5 on how to make a Pacman game using Scratch. In this tutorial we're going to be doing the code for when Pacman dies and hits a ghost. So let's begin. We're going to first create a new variable, and this is going to be called lives because it's the amount of life Pacman has. You must remember to keep it for all sprites, and let's click OK. Now, before we begin with the code, we want Pacman to start off in a certain position when the game begins. Actually, I think I'm quite happy with this position. It's, probably very, very close to the middle of the game. So let's go to motion, and we need this go to x4 and y4 block. Now you can see here the coordinates are x equals 4 and y equals 4, and these are the coordinates coordinates that are showing the position of where Pacman is in the maze, and the exact same coordinates are listed here, so I'm going to keep these coordinates. Now you can place Pacman wherever you want him to start off with, and you can fiddle around with it a bit, but I'm going to keep this position for now. Now let's go back to the variables. We had created a live variable. When the game begins, we want Pacman to start off with a set amount of lives. We want him to have an amount of lives when the game begins. So we're going to say set, when green flag clicked, set lives to, let's say, 5 lives. Okay, so now we're going to do the actual code for Pacman's death. Okay, so we're going to go to control and grab an if loop. I'm going to put it inside the forever loop underneath the if touching color. So if touching, we want it to be touching the ghost. If touching ghost, then we want the lives to decrease by 1. So change lives, oops, not there. Change lives by not 1, because I will add 1 life, but -1. We also want Pacman to go back to the starting position. But before we do the code for that, I am going to add, I think we should add a nice animation, a short, very simple animation. So something very simple like maybe, probably Pacman flashing, maybe when he dies. I think that's quite a cool animation. You don't have to add this. I'm just adding this for, a better effect in the game. So we want Pacman to, we want him to be flashing. So we essentially want him to be hiding and then showing very quickly. So I'm going to go to looks, and let's grab a hide block and just put it underneath here. And now we want him to wait for a very short amount of time before he shows again. So wait, let's say 0.5, maybe that's a bit too long, 0.25 seconds, and then show again. In fact, I think we should take this piece of code out and we should copy and paste this quite a lot of times. Duplicate it and we just put it here, and we need the wait block again. In fact, we could just copy and paste this whole piece of code a few times. And we're just going to put the hide block there. The wait block in between there. And I think that's enough for the animation. This is a long enough animation. You can make it as long as you want. And that's the animation for Pacman's death. Now, when Pacman loses all of his lives, we want the screen to turn into something like game over. So, in the very first tutorial of this game, we made the 2 backdrops, which was the maze and the game over backdrop. So, when Pacman loses all of his lives, we want the backdrop to switch to game over. So for this, we're going to grab another if loop and just put it inside the forever loop. So if we're going to go to operators, if we need an equal to operator and change this to 0, and we're going to go to variables and grab lives. So if lives equals 0 lives, then we want the backdrop to switch to game over. And also we want Pacman to hide, otherwise he will be able to be seen in the backdrop, which is not what we want. And we also need to put this hide block for all the other characters, all the other sprites. So when backdrop switches to game over, hide. And here's a clever trick that you can use. You can just drag it and paste it in another sprite, and you can see that the code ends up here. But when the game starts, we want the backdrop to switch back to the maze. So switch back when the green flag is clicked, switch backdrop to maze, and we also want the sprite to be shown. So we have to do that code for the other 2 sprites. When backdrop switches to maze, show, and we're going to use that clever trick again and just put it there, and you can see the code comes up here. And that's Pacman's death. And that's the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe.